Joining me right now is Mr. Ely Flores. How are you, sir?
I'm great, and you?
I'm doing well. You are here to discuss the unfortunate incident that took the life of your good friend, Alex Nieto. This was about 3 weeks ago, Friday night, the 21st. The facts of the case have been coming out since then. Initially it was reported that your friend Alex was shot 14 times. That was the initial report?
Correct. That is what people are saying in the news media.
Uh-huh.
Some are saying 14, some are saying 16.
Okay.
We have not gotten the information from the ME at the moment, but once we know, the lawyers will know, and it'll be brought up to the public.
Now, I just want to go over these facts here for people that haven't heard it, and then we'll talk more about your friend. But Alex, or Alejandro, as he was known, City College of San Francisco student, young Latino man, lived in the Bernal Heights area, and really wanted to become part of the corrective system, I guess, the police system. Maybe he was going to be a police officer or a probation officer. Like I said, he was in college, and really the thing that grabbed me very early about this case was that he's my age. He was 28. So when I heard that, I really started to read about it more, and the facts of the matter are that he worked as a security guard for a restaurant or a bar. Is that right?
He worked at a at a nightclub
Okay.
called El Toro in San Francisco on San Bruno Avenue.
Okay, and so because of his job, he was required to carry a taser.
Correct.
On
he
his
was
hip.
licensed
to carry one.
A taser.
And so on his way to work, he was stopping to have a bite to eat in a park.
Yeah, he was eating a burrito, which is his favorite. He went out to Bernal Heights to meditate, to basically chant what we know as the Namyoho Renge Kyo in the Buddhist practice that we do, and that's how I met him. Alex went up that day to meditate, to calm down before work. He was, being normal, what normal people do. He was eating a burrito. Somebody called 911 saying he was acting weird because he was talking to dogs, and I believe everybody talks to dogs. Isn't that right?
I definitely do. I also heard or read somewhere that people were reporting. Now, one of the issues is that people are reporting they saw a young man doing certain things, but I haven't heard any conclusive evidence that that was for sure Alex. So another a story or a report I heard was that he was shadowboxing in the park, just like kind of working out, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or if that was him.
No, yeah. I believe Alex was shadowboxing because he does that.
Mm-hmm.
Our mentor, Daisaku Keller from the SGI of Buddhism, he teaches us to always fight with our minds and to believe in the power of the practice. And Alex was shadowboxing because he loved to box.
Right.
He loved, to be active, to stay healthy. And, Alex loved to shadow box.
Now, a statement issued by the San Francisco police was that they issued this statement several hours after the shooting, but they claim that officers were responding to 911 calls of a male subject with a gun or with a weapon. They said there were several calls, and that's exactly why they went to see what was going on. And again, their story then becomes Alex pulled out his taser weapon. Is that right?
There are reports of that being done.
Their version.
Yeah, their version, but we don't know what Alex's version is because he is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But all we have is the talk. We don't have the actual police report in our hands. And once that is brought up to the public, people will know what happened that night. Most likely, the report will not be given out. If there are lies in the police report, the family will notify the lawyers, and we might make it out to the public what happened that night.
Well, I think eventually time will reveal all. It might take many years for all this to get out, but hopefully eventually all the facts of the case will be accessible to the public.
Correct.
But I understand what you're saying. Right now, not only is Alex's family probably guarding some information that they're finding out, but the SFPD is also being very hesitant what they are releasing. You were talking earlier, I think it's okay if we say this, but right now nobody's sure if these 4 officers that shot Alex are back at work. They were temporarily given leave, like paid leave for 10 days.
Yeah.
And now it's not completely sure if they're back on, if they're working in an office for the SFPD or what's happening.
Correct. Today we spoke with the investigator that was handling this case. I took the father to the Hall of Justice to go talk to the investigator.
Mm-hmm.
Where I asked him, because I received a phone call yesterday, anonymous, saying that the officers that were involved in the shooting are back to work.
Okay.
And I don't know that for a fact. It was probably a prank call or something. But with this kind of stuff, should not be played around with, because you're playing around with somebody's life.
Right.
And the officers that were involved, basically what happens is after this happens, something like this happens, the officers are on paid leave for 10 days, and they have a meeting with the chief of police and the chief of staff. And 10 days have passed, and they had that meeting. But we don't know, as the public, we don't know if they are back on duty, if they're back in the streets, or on their desk. We don't know that yet.
Okay. But again, these officers shot him between 14, 16 times. They shot at him as many as 20. 20
Correct.
rounds were fired.
Over 20 rounds were fired. Some people are saying 14 were landed or 16 were landed. But again, we don't have that information yet because we have not seen the police report.
Right. Now, okay, let's talk about Alex Nieto, because all of the information that I'm getting here is facts to the case. And I'm sure there's so much more about your friend that is going to be lost with the media, with news reports and things like that. So how did you and Alex first meet? You told me off air that he was 28, which I said, but you were only 19, so he was 10 years older than you.
Yeah, correct. I met Alex through our practice of Buddhism. That day I met him, I received my Omamori Gohonson.
Uh-huh.
And the Omamori Gohonson is basically a little tiny version of the actual Gohonson which we pray to. We believe that the Gohonson is our inner life, and what we give to the Gohonson, we receive back to us, basically cause and effect. I met him that day because I noticed that we were the only few Latinos in the room. It connected really well. And as Alex was, Alex loved to eat. He loved to eat burritos, tacos, all the Mexican food, because, we're like that. So that day that I received my Omamori Gohonson, he invited me to go eat at a taqueria on 25th and Mission, and I love the Mission. So I'm like, why not go, with this stranger that I just met today. So I gave it a chance, and, I liked him. I liked the way he was, the way he talked to me. And then as time went on, I told him, Alex, I see you as a mentor to me. I see you as a big brother. I like the way you are. I like the way you practice this Buddhism. And then he told me, for anything, I'm here for you.
Wow.
And then, because I don't really have a lot of mentors, I never had, the experience of even having a mentor until Alex was, came into my life.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't come, Alex didn't come on too strong about it.
He didn't force his way into your life.
Exactly. Alex, let it be. Because at that age when I met him, I was about 12, 13.
Wow, that's an impressionable age.
Yeah, and then, at that age, teenagers don't really care, about life. They just want to, think about dumb things.
Right, but something drew you to Buddhism, though. What was it?
What drew me to Buddhism is what a lot of kids my age back then wanted. What drove me to it was the food. We had meetings, and they always brought food, and I was into that Japanese culture a lot, so I liked it. I liked it a lot. And then my friend took me back to a meeting, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I just kept on going to meetings and meetings, and I practiced the Buddhism without receiving my Gohonson, because once you receive the Gohonson, you are actually a member of the practice.
Right.
So before I received my Gohonson, I was always chanting, I was praying basically, and I was always going to meetings, but not as a member, as a guest. So 2 years passed, I went to receive my Gohonson, and my mother also practices. So we both practice this Buddhism practice. So, it's really changed our lives completely.
Now, you said that you and Alex were two of the only Latino members of the Buddhism community that you witnessed when you first started?
No.
Or the same age?
not the same age. Basically, the same. We were both, two Latinos in that particular meeting.
Right.
But there are more Latinos.
Okay,
in
that's
the
what I wanted
practice.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So so we really connected a lot, and
on a much deeper level than two guys who met on a basketball court or two guys who played a lot of video games. I mean, you're there, you're studying religion together.
yeah, of course.
So that's got to be, you're finding out more about each other than two guys normally do that quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And
So-
what we do, basically, we have the 3 topics we always do. Basically, it's practice, faith, and study. We do the practice, we have faith, and we study the practice. We basically read a lot of the practice.
Right.
And we basically, all we do, is enhance the practice into our everyday lives. And that's how we become better people in society.
Were you able to spend time with Alex every week, every month? How often?
When I first met him, I was able to spend, weekly time with him. Alex would always drive from Bernal Heights all the way to my house, and I live in Richmond.
Oh, wow, to pick you up and bring you back.
Yeah. So he always, basically, always, pick me up, we went to go eat. Like I said, Alex loved to eat.
Right.
So at that age, I didn't really work. I didn't really have a financial situation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex always bought me food, always bought me tacos, burrito, McDonald's, Burger King, something, that he could, give me. Alex would give me, and that's what he loved to do. He loved giving to people. He loved giving. And Alex was never the one to give and expect to receive. Alex was always giving and not expecting anything in return, because that was just the person that he was.
So you met him when he was about 20, I guess. 21 or so.
Yeah.
So how much did he change in the 7 years after you met? I mean, obviously he's pursuing Buddhism, and he's learning a lot about himself and spirituality and the world. So he must have evolved as a human quite well, and especially those years, 20 to 28, where I'm at now, they're defining years. A lot of things change, and you really find out what kind of person you're going to be. So did you see him becoming a calmer person?
Yeah. I saw him more calm. When I knew him, Alex wasn't into school that much.
Right.
But he met more people in his community, and he gave back to his community a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what happened in those years is that he went back to school.
City College, San Francisco.
Yep. He tried to pursue a career in administrative justice, and he was one semester away from receiving his degree.
Wow.
And we were notified at the viewing that he received a full ride scholarship to SF State to complete his bachelor's degree.
Wow, that just happened?
Yeah.
Wow. So now how did you first find out that Alex had been killed?
I didn't know until Sunday night when I got back home from work.
Oh, wow.
So I just got home.
Was it a phone call?
No, actually through Facebook.
Oh, no.
So, it was, to me, Sunday, was a regular day. Start off, I got up from bed. I went to work. I started at 11. I got off at 7. And then my friends invited me to go eat. So I went to go eat. And then we came back to watch a movie. But my computer was failing on me. So the internet was kind of off or something. And then they went home. 5 minutes later, I look on Facebook. And then I see my friend post a status saying, this is very tragic. What happened to Alejandro Nieto in Bernal Heights Friday night? And then I kept scrolling down, and I saw he was shot and murdered by the San Francisco Police Department.
Did you completely believe that?
No.
I mean, what was going through your head? Did you think this has to be incorrect? This is a different person?
I was hoping it was somebody else. I didn't really think it was him. I couldn't believe it.
And then you were just in shock.
Yeah, I didn't want to believe it. I just didn't. And then I looked through my friend, who was also a close friend of Alex. His name is Jeff. And basically, Alex, Jeff, and me were always, together, always listening to music. And it's just, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. And then I told my Mom, Alex got killed. I just couldn't put it into words, but I said, Alex got killed.
Have you had to deal with the death of a friend like this before? Not maybe a police intervention or a murder, but did you happen to know anybody that was killed in a car accident or anything like that? You did. So you've dealt with these emotions once before.
Yeah, I've have friends that have passed away to car accidents, to these, natural disasters, as you could say.
Wow. Okay.
So, but nothing like this.
Right.
Nothing that has touched me so hard, that has made me fall to my knees and start crying. It has nothing impacting me like this.
And you said that you are close with Alex's family.
Correct. I got in closer to them after his death because I'm helping the family.
Did you reach out to them?
I reached out to them if they need my help with anything. All the appointments that are being set up with the police, trying to get his property back, talking to them. I'm always with the father. The father wants me to go with him everywhere for Alex, with the police. And the police, basically what they did after the shooting, so this happened on Friday night. On Saturday, they came to pick up his car and tow it. And what they did is that they destroyed the car. They took the car from their house as evidence.
From in front of the house where Alex lived?
Around the house because, from the house.
San Francisco, you can't park in front, yeah.
Of course.
They just took it, towed it.
They towed it.
They didn't ask for keys.
Nothing.
And they destroyed
had the
it.
keys on them because Alex had the keys when he was shot.
Wow.
So what they did is that Alex had a number on his keys with tape, and if something were to happen to him, they called that number, and then what they did, they traced the number back. They got his picture from the DMV, and basically compared his photo to the body, and they were 90% sure it was him. But what they wanted to do is go talk to the family. Basically, what they did is that they didn't even ask them. They interrogated them first before they told them they killed their son.
Wow. So what has the reaction from the family been? I mean, without getting too detailed,
Well, there has been officers that has helped us because they feel sorry, for this tragic accident. And, not all officers are bad. Some are good, some are bad, just like every human being. There's good and bad. And the one that has helped us a lot is Officer Albia Esperanza. So he's helped us a lot. So, besides anything else, the father, the family itself.
And he had a younger brother too. How old was he?
24 years old.
Oh, just slightly younger.
Yeah, 4 years younger.
Are you close with him?
Yeah, I've actually gotten closer to him after the death.
What and now there were many marches and things, and there was a vigil.
Correct.
What else are we going to be doing for Alex in his memory in the upcoming days and months?
Soon we'll be having a committee meeting for the community to see what we can organize and everybody be on top of everything, because we're like right now we're like everywhere right now. We can't really decide what to do first, what comes next, so forth. So we're gonna get together pretty soon and basically start a committee on what's going to happen this day and so forth.
What does Alex's family need? Do they need money for legal defense? Do they need, is there anything that an everyday person can provide their family right now, and how could we go about doing that?
So Alex was the bread provider in the family. Alex gave money for the rent. Alex bought food. Alex did a lot of things for his parents.
Wow.
Because that was the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, he gave to his family a lot. And now that he's gone, it's really hard for them. So what Jeff and I are doing, we are actually giving groceries to their family pretty soon. Because we want them to feel that they are loved. And
is there a way that I can reach out to you? Can people reach you on Facebook and say, "Hey, I have"?
You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram and my email, which I'll be,
Ely,
pretty soon.
Ely Flores, ELY.
ELYF415@gmail.com. In the subject, please put for Alex Nieto because I get a lot of spam. ELYF415@gmail.com, but also Ely Flores on Facebook. Correct.
It's okay if I give that out?
Yeah, it's fine.
FLORES.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to a quick break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about more about Alex, and I have more questions on how we can provide for his family and what hopefully will be happening in the next couple of days and weeks.
Okay.
All right, you're listening to KPOO San Francisco 89.5 FM. I'll be right back with Ely Flores here on KPOO. All right, back here on KPOO, San Francisco, 89.5 FM. Again, I'm joined by Ely Flores, friend of the late Alejandro Nieto, who was very sadly gunned down by police 3 weeks ago, Friday, the 21st of March. The facts on the case are still a little murky, but we know that Alex was shot between 14 and 16 times, and that he did, in fact, have a taser on his hip, which no one is quite sure how that played into the case. So the police have their version of the story, but unfortunately, nobody will ever be able to hear Alex's point of view. But Ely Flores is here, who is a good personal friend of Alex, and I didn't realize until you came in here that also you guys met through Buddhism, and you're both very spiritually engaged. And I did know that, or I'd read that Alex was pursuing, a legal career.
Correct.
Possibly a probation officer.
Correct. That's what he wanted to do. So basically, what Alex wanted to do is be a PO, because he wanted to give back to the youth.
He wanted to help people.
Yeah, basically, he wanted to help people. And, it does, for Alex didn't care what you were. You could be black, white, Latino, Asian. Alex didn't care what color you were, only what's inside of you. And
is that something that you guys both share because of your Buddhist beliefs? I mean,
not only that,
That definitely sounds like something that the Buddhist mentality is.
Correct.
Everybody's the same.
Correct.
It's your internal.
Yeah, correct. Basically, what we know, what we believe is everybody has a Buddhahood, and everybody has, a spiritual guidance inside of them. So, Alex put his belief into it 100%. Alex believed that the practice does work, and it works for everybody. Some people believe in Allah, God, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But what we believe, we don't believe in a God. We believe in our inner selves and the universe. So Alex was, always preaching to people about the practice. That was really good. That was really good. But there was a point where, I told him, Alex, you're doing too much. I think you might lose it with, doing too much, and then stop, and then give up the practice.
What do you mean doing too much? Too much?
Too much, the practice, basically, like chanting, a lot in a day, and then talking about the practice too much. So I told him, Alex, I think you're doing too much. And he told me, no, watch, I'll prove you wrong. And he proved me wrong. He did prove me wrong. Alex was a great Buddhist. Not only that, a great human being, a humble soul. So that night, the police didn't just take away a human being. They took away a great, humble spirit. They took away a son. They took away a brother. They took away a friend, and a great activist in the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know how many innocent people have been gunned down in San Francisco in the last few years by either police officers or, people within the community themselves. But that's what really, like, the backlash comes when you find out more about this person. Alex was not, there's a lot of stereotypes in the Latino community, in the black community, in the white community. And when somebody falls into those stereotypes, it's very easy for the police to just wrap it up, put a bow on it, and say, well, he actually, his brother was involved in a gang, and he had 2 misdemeanors, so that's the end. But in this case, it's just they completely blew up in their face. They obviously didn't really know anything about the person that they were apprehending, and this is where the backlash comes, and this is where people, they start to get active and they start to get loud, and I mean, who can blame the people in the Bernal Heights community and the San Francisco community for getting enraged? And unfortunately, it seems like right now the facts are just murky and they're not coming out fast enough. And I know you were talking about Greg Sir, the chief of police. He said personally that he would take care of Alex's funeral costs. Is that right?
Correct. During the town hall meeting we had last Tuesday, somebody asked him, and she works directly with the OCC, and she asked Chief Sir, who's gonna pay for the funeral? The family does not have the money, and the expenses. They have too much already. On their hands. So, Chief Sir told them directly in their face, victim services will pay for it. If they do not pay for it, I will personally pay for it. That's what Chief Sir told them. And then that lady pulled me to the side, and she told me, Chief Sir just told me, if victim services does not pay for the funeral, he will personally pay himself out of his pocket.
Wow.
And I told the family, and they said, well, that's one step forward.
Right.
And I said, of course, it's not gonna bring him back, but it's something. And that same lady that asked Chief Sir actually donated the casket for Alex.
Wow.
So the family did not pay for the casket. That lady donated it, and that's a great blessing from her.
Yeah, it's still sad to think about even having to make those arrangements in the first place.
Correct.
Yeah, Chief Sir, I've met him once before, very briefly. Seems like a good guy. In this case, he seems like somebody that is in over his head, and he's trying to figure out as fast what happened as the public too. He wasn't there. He doesn't.
Yeah, correct.
It's not this isn't a playbook that he called or something like that. And the police are responsible for their own actions, and now he's the face of the police, and so he has to keep things as even as he can and try to inform everybody. But yeah, in a way, I almost feel bad for him too, because this is not something that he would have wanted, and
No, of course, nobody
wanted it. Is there any talk that have you been able to identify single officers involved yet?
No.
So all you know is that 4 officers were involved.
It is confirmed that 4 officers were involved in the shooting that Friday night. But I don't, actually going back to the Monday after the shooting, I was in class. I couldn't concentrate. My vision just went blurred. And then after class, I drove down to Ingleside Station, and I spoke to the person at the front office. I told them, can I speak to the officers who shot and killed my brother? Because Alex to me was not only a friend, he was like a big brother to me. And that's what we both saw each other, as brothers. Because me personally, I'm an only child. And I never knew growing up what it felt like to have a brother or sister. And Alex, to me, he was that brother figure to me. And it was great. So that Monday morning, I went to the station, and I asked them, can I speak to officers? And they said, well, they're on paid leave right now. And they gave me the number to speak with a sergeant in charge. And they gave me the number, and I walked away. And they asked me, do you need counseling? Do you need this? Do you need that? I said, I only want my brother back. And there's nothing that can bring him back to life. You guys took him away from me, and you took him away from a lot of people.
What about this whole case that you know of so far strikes you as the least believable?
Well, everything is not believable, what they're saying. The police is basically saying that he had a mental issue, which that is completely false. They should not be saying that, because Alex had no record of mental issues. Alex was a great person with a straight head. So those rumors being spread that he had mental illnesses, that shouldn't even be said. And the police, which I know are going to use at court, but they didn't know that prior to the shooting. They didn't know that Alex was mentally ill.
That's one of the great scapegoats of our time when it comes to crimes. There's a lot of people just go, oh, well, he had mental illness, it wasn't addressed, and it's hard to prove that he did or didn't. It holds up in court often, and it's the police, the courts. A lot of people can use that as a great excuse that just, again, puts a bow on it. Well, he had mental issues, so.
But they didn't know that before they killed him.
And not only that, are the actions that he took still believable? They're claiming that he actually pointed a taser at them, said, show me your firearms. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know the police officers, I don't know Alex, but I don't know why anybody would say that.
I wouldn't believe that, and nobody believes it. Alex had a degree in the field of law enforcement.
That we're talking about, right.
Exactly. and somebody that knows
how the
everything,
system works.
exactly how the system works. Somebody isn't gonna ask a question that dumb. You know, Alex will never ask, you know, or tell them, you know, show me your gun. You know, Alex isn't that kind of person. Alex knows the way the system works. And if he would have said that, it would have made a big dispute.
We're talking about a guy who, in a year or two, could have been a parole officer
Correct.
or a corrections officer or something. Somebody that knows how the system works. When you talk to a police officer, you give them the information that they ask for. If you have a question from them, how that works.
Correct. But what they didn't do, they were 75 feet away from him. They could have used a mic or a megaphone. They could have, talked with him. They could have talked to him, but instead they killed him. They didn't even give him a chance. They didn't tell him, drop your weapon. He had a taser and it was yellow from the side.
That is the 75 feet away adds a new element, because how well could you communicate with somebody that's 75 feet away from you?
Correct.
In San Francisco at about 7 at night, it was getting windy. There's always tons of noise anyways.
And around there were dogs, people were screaming and yelling around surroundings. But, they could have used something else. They didn't need to kill him.
Right. It sounds like the police acted out of fear.
That's what they're saying.
Of what they didn't know.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
And, I can relate to Alex a lot, because not only was he my mentor in the Buddhism practice, he was also my mentor in life and the career of law enforcement. Because both of us wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. I wanted to be SAPD so much. All through my life, I've always told myself, SAPD, 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 over and over. I wanted to be an officer. I wanted to rank up to sergeant, lieutenant, inspector, tell people. I wanted to be an inspector for SAPD. That's all I wanted to do in my life. I took an internship with the Special Victims Unit at the Hall of Justice. I was with them.
You're shadowing them.
Not really shadowing them. I was actually working with them.
Okay.
I was actually looking at the cases.
Wow.
And actually doing, some, administrative stuff. So I was there for like almost a year. And I know the way the system worked because they helped me out. They helped me a lot. There were some good officers there and good, and good inspectors there. So I wanted to be like them. But they personally didn't kill Alex. They didn't kill them. Those 4 officers that shot and murdered him, those should be responsible for what happened to Alex. And me personally, as a Buddhist, I can't say, I want them dead. I want them, in jail. All we want in the community is justice. And me as a Buddhist, all I'm doing right now is basically chanting, basically praying for their souls to be released. Because they might lie and get their jobs back, or something, or be on the streets again. But they're going to be living with their conscience, knowing they took away a life, an innocent life that was unarmed. So I'm doing is basically chanting for the truth to come out. The truth will be released soon, and everybody will know the truth.
I think obviously, what I'm hearing from you now is that you don't want to pursue a career anymore.
Correct.
In that field. But now at this point, with the experience you've gone through and knowing Alex and what you'll end up finding out through the rest of this case as it continues, you will have an insight that no other officer has, and that'll make it all the more important that you are a member of the SFPD or whatever law enforcement. I'm not saying you have to do this, obviously, but if you did, you would have you would see it. You wouldn't have fired at Alex if you were in their position of police, because you would have gone through something like this. You would know that there's just too many issues going on. You haven't seen a weapon, you haven't heard him say anything, whatever it is. So
and Alex never even owned a firearm to begin with.
Right.
But so going back to law enforcement, a little bit.
And you were saying off the air, or maybe it was on there, that there are good cops and bad cops,
Correct.
and it's just like any other job,
both,
really.
I said it. Of course, there are good cops and there are bad cops.
Right.
And, I wanted to be a good cop.
Yeah.
I wanted to give back to my community. I grew up in Viz Valley, and I was born in the Mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I was raised my whole life in those two neighborhoods because they're really close to each other. So I grew up in both neighborhoods. I saw officers working in the Sex Station, in the Mission. Always there. Always, being nice people, and I wanted to be like them. But now, as not even the death, as soon as they shot the first bullet into Alex, that's when I knew my career in law enforcement was completely over. And one of the officers that works directly under the chief of police, on Friday, she asked me, she actually told me, I hope this does not affect your career in law enforcement.
Right.
And I told her, you don't know what it feels to have your dreams crushed in seconds. I've dedicated my life to the police. I volunteered, a non-paid intern, and I took these classes to be in law enforcement. But I'm not going to give up my career in law enforcement just because of one incident. What I'm going to do now is go on the other side of law enforcement. I will go into the career of law and help out the community by being a lawyer or an attorney.
That's a great idea.
That's what I want to do because
that's
I
what
don't
I
want
meant.
Families.
Right.
I know what it feels like to lose a friend, a brother, somebody close to you. And nobody should have this experience ever again. Nobody should know the feeling of the police taking away an innocent life.
Unfortunately, it's something that many people in San Francisco and California and the United States have had to deal with over the past few years. But I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story. I feel terrible about your friend, Alex, and my condolences go out to Alex's family and friends. And again, you said that there will be a march tomorrow in Sacramento.
Yes, tomorrow there will be a march in the capital of the state, which is Sacramento. There will be a march, not quite sure the time, I literally forgot, but there will be a march tomorrow in Sacramento. There will actually be shuttles taking people there from the city. If you have not signed up yet, you might be able to make it on the bus, but, it's not guaranteed. But for Alex, there will be a memorial this Saturday morning. Not quite sure the time. It is to be determined right now because we are dealing with.
Let me know.
issues.
I'll put it on our KPOO Facebook page.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Eli, thank you so much for coming in again. That's a tough thing to share. It's a tough thing to go through, and my props to you for being so well spoken about it and for being essentially an activist on the side of the family, because I can't imagine having to be a family member, his mother or his father, and having to also do all this work, stand up for them, and they should be left alone if that's their wish now.
It's hard.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Somebody, this is actually, not even joking around. Somebody put the information of the father on, on the news, on the internet, the father's name, the address, and the telephone number, and there are threats being made to the police. And I can guarantee you, it is not the family or friends those threats are coming from to the police. Those threats are somebody that's taking advantage of
People
the
are
situation.
completely crazy, and exactly. I hope that everything goes as well for the family as possible. But yeah, that's a whole nother issue we'll have to talk about. And I hope you'll come back in the future, because I'd love to talk about how everything with Alex works out, and also your Buddhist faith. I'm really interested in that. I've had there's a really great Buddhist temple just a couple blocks from here, and I talked to some folks that are in there occasionally, and I'd like to learn more about it, and I think the listeners would too.
Okay.
All right. Eli, thank you so much, and I'm going to take off as well. It's 10 minutes to 4 o'clock. DJ Max Schmormack will be here in just a minute with the Gramophony Baloney, so stay tuned for that. Again, many thanks to all the listeners today. Congratulations to the winner of the tickets to see Taylor Dane, and thanks again to Taylor Dane for coming on the show. She was incredibly sweet, and she